Hello and welcome back to Stranded Deep, welcome back to the map editor, and welcome back to this island we're creating. Last time we generated a random island, cut it in half, put a cave over the top, we put a quayside in here as well, we put in the yellow raft, we put in a couple of doors because the door is the average height of the player's avatar, the person that you run around as in Stranded Deep, and then we put a door on top of that to emulate the height of a raft with sails. And I know what you're saying, hang on a second. Is this cave in fact big enough to fit a large raft? Well, I can comfortably tell you that yes, it will fit several rafts inside. I put a 4x4 raft in there, and because of the way that we've orientated this island, you can sail in quite happily, and then there's a gentle push towards the quayside. The rafts will just nudge up against that quayside, and as we go upwards, we can see that because the waves are traveling diagonally from one side of the island to the other, that's in fact where the current is going to be. Anyway, if you're joining us here, then I will just say this is the PC version of the game. Although the consoles do have a map editor, the controls in the PC version are W to go forward, S to go back, A to go left, D to go right, Q to go down, E to go up, push and hold the right mouse button and that pans things around. If you have an object selected, in fact let's just grab an object out of the bin rather than mess something up that we've already created. Plain, you'll do. If we put up in the air, then it is R to rotate, T to transform, C to clone, delete to delete, and if you have something selected, F to focus. That's everything you really need to know. Well, we'll get rid of that. And we'll go back to the island. The hard bit is kind of done. We have a way of getting a raft inside here. We can sail it in one side, we can sail it out the other side. But I'm going to be honest, this looks ugly as anything. It's not a good look for an island. In fact, it's an awful look for an island. As you're on a neighboring island, you might actually be able to peer straight through the center of this. It kind of looks like an aircraft hangar. It kind of looks like a tunnel. Like a Nissan hut, I guess. I don't actually know what the American version of a Nissan hut is, but that's kind of what this looks like. We're going to need to decorate it. We're going to need to make it look better. We're also going to need to make a bigger island because we haven't got much land here. We have the ability to build out to the north and to the east, I guess, which is fine, but we're kind of not quite center, which means we're going to build up here. We've got to do stuff over here. We're going to add lots and lots of foliage. And we've got to also add islands fore and aft of this tunnel. And you might say, why? Because we're going to put trees and things on here. We're going to try and disguise this as much as possible. And you cannot see me waving my arms around. But yeah, that's definitely something we have to do. But we also need it to be navigable. We need rafts to be able to access this tunnel. Okay, how do we do this? Well, we're going to go back to terrain. And remember this amount slider that I'm wiggling backwards and forwards. This is the thing that I'm going to talk about the most. Ooh, the amount slider. At this point in the build, this amount slider can really mess you up. There is no Control Z. There is no undo. So remember, the amount slider always has to be slid back to 0 as you're going through your set height, smooth height, and raise and lower height. Because if you have that cranked, going around the island smoothing the sand, and then you go to raise and lower and think, oh, I'm just going to left click and just raise up the sand a bit, you will have a spike all the way up to Jupiter. And Jupiter doesn't like a spike right up its butt. So remember, turn the amount slider down and save often. Anyway, we need a little island. We need to make some islands. We need to extend this thing. We need to do a lot of work. We're actually going to do this sort of reversed. I would normally put the feature in second and do the island first, but that's just the way we have. Raise and lower. I'm going to hit the set height. I'm just going to change the size of this brush down. We're going to be using the soft brush and the hard circular brush. So soft circular, hard circular. We're not going to use the square brushes. We're not going to use the honeycomb brushes. These rest of the brushes, they're not useful to us. soft brush, retrain paint height, and I'm going to click on some of this dry sand here. Why would I do that? Well, we have a little V here. Little V, little V. I'm actually going to go up a lot and just see what we can see up here. Good. We could turn off the turn off the water for this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to push and hold. And then I'm going to bring some sand up. We can only bring the sand up to the height that we've read the terrain height at. But wait, there's more. Yeah, I just need an uneven little nugget of an island, I guess. Just here. Doesn't need to be perfect. Doesn't need to be symmetrical. Most things in nature are... I'd say most things in nature are not symmetrical, but then I was like, well, butterflies are. You win, nature, this time. Yeah, I'm just going to raise up a little bit of an island. It needs to be quite wide. These entrances still need to be quite wide. And we can bring in an object. We can bring in... where are you? Shipwreck 2A. Shipwreck 2A, hit R to rotate. And as long as these rivers are the same width as the back of the shipwreck, the flat deck at the back of the shipwreck, that'll allow a 4x4 raft to go through. That's how we measure that. Oh no, but we have a little sort of chunk of island here. Well, now I'm going to look up at the sky, and then I'm going to hit the cog, and then I'm going to hit display ocean. We look up at the sky because otherwise the shadows get a bit funny. This is actually how much of the island we've got to play around with. We've got this big cake, you see, and the island sits on top of this cake. In the olden days, you could actually end up with a massive gap underneath your, like at the edge of the island, and you could actually get people kind of getting accidentally stuck underneath the island mesh. But I'm going to bring up some more because we have this huge apron around the outside. And if we don't do anything like that, well, you know, we're gonna be... It's free real estate. Set height, is that coming up? Change the amount up. Let's just get it done. I'm gonna put an island offshore. Oh, you're doing an offshore island, are you? Yes. I've never seen that before from you. Well, it's flat because we've read the terrain paint height. And I've cranked up the speed a little bit. I don't want to go too close to the edge because I don't want it to drop down immediately into the abyss. There we go. There we go. That's a bit more. And we'll get back to that in a moment. I'm going to do the same thing here. Pull this all up just to see how much extra island we can actually get out of this. I think we can get quite a bit. Now, the only way you're going to know how much or how big the island is or how big it feels is by going into the game, popping it into your world, and actually going and investigating with your investigating feet. This doesn't look great, but don't worry about it. We're just getting land at the moment. Land reclamation. For this side, I have a definite idea of what I want, and I want little islets. What's an islet? It's like an island, but smaller. There we go. Cool. Excellent. But wait, there's more. Yes, this looks like complete ass. If I were to go into the game and look at this, I'd be like, it's a big old flat beach. What am I doing here? I don't know. All right, read terrain height. And I'll read from here. And the amount slider, just double check that with your eyeballs. Target value has already jumped up. And then we're gonna... Out. But wait, there's more. Is that... There's always more, yeah. This is the bit that always takes time. Like blocking in the land. There's no real fast way of doing this, I'm afraid. Isn't there? I'm sure there is. Well, yes and no. Depends how creative you want to get with your land. And I think we can get a little bit more creative than you think we are going to be. Huh. By which I mean, let's grab the smooth height, crank that all the way up, set a big old brush and then just push and left click on all of this, which is going to give us, hopefully, a slightly smoother hillside. I don't want to go too close to the cave because I don't want to pull the island mesh away from here. That's kind of important. So basically what we're doing is we're doing exactly the same thing that we did on this side, raise it up and smooth it back, which gives us a nice interesting island. I'm actually going to smooth into the ocean as well. And that mount is cranked, absolutely cranked. But wait, there's more? Oh yeah, believe me, there's going to be much more. Smooth this down as well. We'll have to do something with that little island because we need to plant trees here. The idea is you put trees and rocks so that if you're looking at a different direction at the island, you can't just see straight through the tunnel, because that would be sad. I'm not going to do anything with that side. We're going to work on this side for the time being. I have a feeling you might be doing something. Yeah. Well, you are very clever, despite what they say. What? Nothing. We are going to read middle option there, middle brush, change the size down, change it down a lot. Okay, cool. Retrain paint height from the water in the tunnel. Okay, cool. Like it. What are you doing? Well, we have the amount slider cranked all the way up. I'm glad we had retrain paint height selected and not raise and lower. Wow, that's super fast, isn't it? It is! Why was it so quick? I don't know. You're just carving through the land. Yep, I'm carving through the land like a hot knife through butter. All the way? Do we want to go all the way? I think maybe. Yeah, why not? Why not? There you go. And since an estuary is usually flared at either end, let's do that. Clickety click. This is weird. What are you doing? Well, since we have a big old chunk of rock, why don't we move this back a bit? Either side. And then maybe push it in a bit. Okay. There we go. I think I might raise that up around there. Those bubbles need to go away. Any bubbles, like these bubbles here, that's a hole in the island mesh. So the bubbles in the middle of the screen, that's a hole in the water mesh even. That means if we were to make this map go live, anyone looking at that bit of water there would see a gap in the ocean, and then they would be like, oh, I can see all the way underwater without the cloud layer, without the fog layer. Anyway, we're going to hit structures, close that up, going to hit rocks. And we're going to be using Cliff 6. There you go. Wait, what? What are you doing? Trust me, I know what what that voice again. Well, yeah, I know what I'm doing. T to transform, we are going to be going down, grabbing this thing. And if you can't tell which direction the arrows are pointing, just pan around with the camera. There we go. There we go. Now we know. Now, this is going to need some work. I'm going to hit C to clone, just because it's quicker. And then just jam this bodily into the dirt that we've excavated. C to clone. Oh, really? Yep. R to rotate. T to transform. And we don't need it. There we go. We can angle it. We can bring it down. There we go. Much better. Much better. There are some things that you need to keep an eye on, or just keep in your head. And some of those things, oh, well, that's not going to work. Flip her around. There you go. Much better. Seems to work now. Some of those things are, well, I've built a nice pit, a little death pit. Well, yeah, great. So your player has fallen in. How do they get out? They gotta swim either end of the island. That's stupid. So we gotta make sure that we don't frustrate the player, but also make it a fun time for the player. C to clone, T to transform, slide, in rotate, down, T, back, rotate in, transform down. So what we're using is the Clef 6 as basically edging. So we're edging with Clef 6, and that did a little jump. That is going to happen more and more. The more things we put on the island, the more when we let go of something, that toggle sometimes jumps onto a different object. So you're going to be very careful, like super careful about what you actually have selected. And good. I just need to get to a point because we can smooth this land out a little bit better, where we can go up here and we can go structures and find ourselves Seafort Bridge broken. Oh, drag you in. There you go. I'm going to drag it in here so we can actually see it. T to transform. Cool. Rudder rotate. Neat. T to transform. And then find a decent place for it. Oh, what are you doing? Well, we're having a little bridge that's broken. Now, we've done this before. We've absolutely used this before. There we go. T transform. Down a little bit. Now we can bring those rocks up if we need to. Okay, good. Good. Is that a good place for it? Maybe. We can also do a little rotate. We can just keep adjusting this thing and then bring it up. Ooh, got the wrong thing there. Yeah. See, it will jump and it will select different things in the background. You gotta be on the ball because there's no undo. Right, good, excellent. Now we have a cavern or a canyon with a nice little broken bridge. People will jump across and they'll grab that little handle. It's a fairly easy jump. It doesn't look very good though. No, it doesn't. Because we haven't really finished the terrain. The terrain's just not like properly done. Now close that, hit terrain, hit objects, so now nothing is selected. If something was selected, it would be a bit of an issue. So we don't accidentally move something around in the background. Anyway, we're going to hit raise and lower height, change that amount all the way down. We're going to hit lower, and we have a nice large brush. And I'm just going to, instead of reading the terrain paint height, I'm going to crank the amount up just by a few pixels. That's better. Just by a few pixels. Now, with this, what could happen is we could accidentally start pushing down things like the seabed, which is what we're doing there. We could really mess things up if we just keep left mouse button held down. Don't really want to do that. Don't really want to do that. What we do want to do is hit raise and just have a nice interesting island. Can we raise something up here as well? Yeah, we can. Let's just get something here. I do like the little offshore islands. They're pretty neat. Good. I don't think this is kind of working, so let's bring this out a bit more. There we go, because it's a bit too steep and there's no what's going on there. Again, we're going to need an island here or something here that we can put trees on. So let's do that. Let's raise that up and out. It might be easier to get in one way than the other, so I'll just hit lower along there. We can't make it too deep, because if you make it too deep, the game is going to start putting rocks and things in there. Let's move that back a little bit. Neat, much better. This is kind of awkward. So let us move it back so it's less awkward. That's okay. Hit smooth, crank the size up. And the amount up as well. And then watch everything melt back into the ground as it's all smoothed off. It's going to look great once it's all smoothed off. The trouble is, as soon as you put it in a game, it all becomes higgledy-piggledy and jagged again. It's not ideal, the smooth height. So you end up smoothing and raising and smoothing and raising and smoothing and raising. It's not a lot you can do to get around that, I'm afraid. Let's not look up at the sky. Let's just see what happens when we turn the ocean off and we go up and down. Those the shadows, they will now follow the camera, and it's disconcerting. All right, well, we'll display the ocean. We'll look up at the sky, undisplay the ocean. Boop. Ocean is now off, and the shadow is now locked. Why does that happen? If I knew, I'd know. But I don't. Retrain paint height from there. Mount down. Let's pull this up a bit. I think it's just a little bit too steep, this drop off here. Don't like it. Don't like it. I want a nice apron for people to be able to swim around. There we go. And you can tell if it's going to be a nice apron because you'll get the caustics effect, the light. You don't get it if it's too deep. Oh, that's what that is. Yeah, that's what that is. So we can pull that up a little bit more. Good. Good, good, good. Excellent. Cool. And we are going to smooth this over here because we can see it now. Crank it up so that's smooth height, and smooth that a bit more. All right. Yeah, this is my life now. I live here. Do you? What? Retrain paint height? Yeah, basically that's how it's going to be for a little bit. Size down. And then remember that mount slider. Gee, the mount slider. It's going to get us in trouble. What I'm going to do is put a little island here. Where am I? I don't want to be too confusing. I don't want it to be too confusing for people coming in. Yeah, that is a point. If we have lots of little islands... Okay, that might not be great. If we have lots of little islands, we can confuse people who are bringing boats and stuff in. Change the size up. Change the amount up. We do want a nice beach, though. So let's get a nice beach here. There we go. That's better. That's better. Which means we've got to read from here. Push that in a bit. There we go. Little clickety clicks. There we go. Better. At this point, we can adjust the island to how we want it to be, or how we kind of want the final layout to be. We need plenty of land because we need places for people to build houses. We need things that are interesting because, well, that's going to make people want to play on the island. But we also have to disguise the fact that we got a bloody great big hole through it. And this is the bit that's going to raise us up a bit. Right, we could probably... Oh yeah, look, we can go way, way out. What are we doing? Oof. Yeah, we can basically... all the way out here. Oh, what we could do is just... yeah, we could actually legitimately fence that off if we wanted to. Alright, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's read from here. Nope. Read from here. That's why we don't have the amount slider cranked, because otherwise you'll punch a hole through things. Neat. Cool. We've got a very, very steep beach here, which is not ideal. Retrain paint height from here, and then just put a bit of an apron around the outside. It's underwater. There we go. And then we can smooth that off, fill in any holes. And hit smooth. Right, cool. Mounts kind of all the way up. Otherwise it'll take forever on a day. That's better. We can always change our minds later on. Nothing's really set in stone. Well, it gets a bit more difficult once you've put in things like objects around the edges of islands. But for the time being, let's smooth this all off and see where we are in terms of the land. This is going to need to be... crank it up, it'll average it out better. That is all the way up. You can't really see it, see the effect of it, but yeah, it's much, much less steep than it was now. Do the same thing around here as well. Just average this out. We can just push and hold, but it's going to eat into the land. Okay, and then just average that out. We've got a huge dip in the ground. We're going to need to read the terrain height again. And I think, oop, make sure the amount is cranked down a bit. And bring this beach out a bit more. Yeah, this side of the island is always going to be a bit of a nightmare to deal with. Cool, excellent, good. And just raise it up as much as we can. I think I might have to deal with that later on though. Right, this is much too big. Read terrain paint height, and then pull that out a bit more here. Okay. And then again from the second. So yeah, we're creating channels in our island. Good. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Very interesting, but we have a lot more land to play with now. Before it was just these two chunks, and now it's a lot bigger. Right. We can't really start putting objects down apart from the ones that we've already done. Let's turn the water back on. Boop. And see what we're playing with. It's all right. We gotta do stuff. We gotta do stuff. Raise and lower. All right. Let's get some things going on here. Let's crank that up a little bit. A bit of island going on. Nice. Nicey. Right, let's do the same thing here. Let's just crank it around. There we go. Brushing in a bit of land. And also, well, if you're going to leave a little bit of sand here and there, it's going to create natural paths for the player to walk along. Not just the beach. That is a very steep beach. I'm going to have to do something with that. Maybe we'll do that in between episodes. There's the rare in between episodes just to save time. Yeah, well, that's how it is. Same thing here. So size is, well, like a quarter of the brush, and amount's not exactly cranked. There we go. Same thing over here. Don't need to go too high. There'll be a bit of grass on that. Same thing here. I mean, if it's not some wetness there, that's okay. Doesn't need to be just like, oh, you can now sail a boat through here, but we're just looking for stuff that's interesting. Okay, cool. Cool, right. And then here. I think what we can do is probably make that shallow enough so you can't get a boat through there. There we go. There we go. Much better. Much better. Now if we look up, we've got some greenery going on. I also got this thing, this lump. Don't like it. Hit lower. Change the amount down. And actually add some definition to the terrain. I'm going to go fix some of this terrain as well, but once this is in, we can just leave it in the back of our minds. There we go. Let's carve a little path up the top, just actually in the terrain. So it's almost impossible to see, but now there's a little path that goes up there. Good. And we'll tap that down as well. Right. I think we've reclaimed quite a bit of land. It should still be easy to navigate into and out of this area. We may just not have a Y section. We may just have a... we might just fill this in, or I don't know. We can leave that for the time being because we got other things to do. What's the other things we need to do? Well, one of the things is this bloody great big hole. And yes, the player can actually walk through that hole. That's not great. We could lose some height, I guess, with this whole cave here. But the alternative thing is we could just go hit rocks, find another cliff 6, and then drag it in, pop it over the top, Alternatively, clone the one that's already there, and drag it back down into the ground. Ah, that actually filled that hole very easily, very quickly. Yes, it did. I don't know if there's any more holes over here. There's a little one here. Yep. So we could push that up. I wonder how far we can actually push that. Push that up to there, I guess, in order to hide the fact that there were some holes there. We have this kind of gap in terrain. We can check the thickness of this wall and actually raise up the terrain along here just to fill in that. Hit up terrain, that's the hard brush, and I will read terrain paint height from the very edge of that. The mountain's down. I'm going to hit the size button, so that's kind of down as well. Crank the amount up, because what we want to do is be able to paint into these cliff sections, but not fill the cave up with dirt. It's kind of a tricky ballet. Check on the inside, make sure we haven't actually done that. Nope, the thickness of the cliff is actually going to disguise the fact that we've actually done that. So paint along here, and just make sure there's no gaps along the edges of this cliff, because if there's gaps, them peeps are going to fall into... There we go. Going to fall into a gap in the terrain, and then people are going to get really upset. Can we bring the terrain up? Yeah. Anywhere else there's going to be a gap in terrain. Not along there. And along this side, I think it's pretty good along here. There's a gap just there. Retrain paint height from here. And just bring that up. You can see the brush snapping to actually triangles, because the mesh is based on triangles. Yep, cool. Right. No gaps. No capes. No capes. No gaps. We have a basic island. Oh, there is a gap here. Oh no! There's a gap here. How do I fix that? Oh, tell me. Tell me, map daddy. Wait, what? No. We just grab a big rock and slap it in there. And then probably rotate that round a little bit. I'm wondering if we get a better side. Yes, there is. There we go. And T to transform. We grab the blue when we should have grabbed the green. There we go. Much better. Much better. Good. Because you know players are going to be running over the top of that thing. I think that's all of the gaps. Yeah, I think that's all of the gaps. Right. Good. Excellent. Hit up terrain and objects. Well, we've blocked in an island. It's very rough. There are ways for the players to get in and out. We might fill in some of this terrain. I think the terrain up here, I might just fill it in just to give us more space. And I keep saying that, and you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. What are we waiting for? Terrain paint height. From there, soft brush. Make that bigger. Yeah, I think having that is just going to cost us too much ground. Which is, I mean, it's all right, but it's not perfect. Good. Which means this is, let's read from there. It's going to punch a hole through there. Punch that out. Okay, cool. That's a bit better. Raise and lower. Crank that down and just up a little bit. That feels better. And just have this as sort of a lowland in between. We can raise it up in certain places. Ah, yeah, much better. A little bit of a lower. And then average things out. Which needs to be a little bit bigger than that. Cool. Bit more? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Now we know. Cool. That feels better. It doesn't look better for the time being. We're going to need to do more to it. But I think as a throughway, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we've got a lot more island to deal with. We've got a little river that runs through it. We've split things up. We're not really going to see this island come into its own until we start adding objects, trees, and other rocks and various bits and pieces. But you can't skip the actual physical island making. So I'm going to leave it here for the time being. If you like this, like these videos, definitely leave a little like. Leave a subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you want notifications, ding the bingle. If you don't want notifications, don't click the bell, and I'll tell you what. I'll catch you next time.